made. We're just watching our own intro. We always get fascinated by the intro and what it looks
And
like.
then we were trying to read the quote for the day, but we can't really read it from
It
our
only
monitor.
said the quote for the day was quote for the day.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Although Alex had a better quote, but he wouldn't put it up
He
there
wouldn't put it up there.
it was more risque.
So it's been a morning
I
already.
did put it up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I couldn't read it
We couldn't read it from here.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
because that from that.
because we need our
From this
reading
angle.
glasses.
Yeah. Yeah. We need our
All
reading
right.
glasses and we need to transpose it because we're seeing it backwards. So
Good.
yes, it was an interesting morning in class this morning.
Yeah.
Because I accidentally hit the repeat button on my iPod. So the very first song played for the first 20 minutes of class before anybody noticed.
But did they pick up on it?
Well, it was quite a while before someone said, this song seems to be a really long song.
It was like,
And, it is a
Stairway
really
to
long
Heaven
song.
or what was that song that?
Stairway to Heaven. Inagata Vida.
Inagata Vida.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the one that they joke that DJs would use that song if they had to go to the necessary.
Yeah,
They would
there
put
we
that
go.
song on because it's like a
Yeah.
14-minute song. So yeah,
We should maybe do
accidentally-
Inagata Vida as a clip someday when we really don't have much to
We
talk
don't have
about.
much to talk about. That might be a good
That'd be
thing
a
today.
good thing to do today. All right.
So
Local events.
Local events. I just want to remind everybody that if you were watching last week, you got to meet Peter Ragnar. He is going to be at the Graz Fireplace Lounge Room tonight. That's the room down the hall from Greater Rock. And he's going to be giving his lecture on exercise secrets for a healthier life. He's got some interesting topics he's going to talk about, and it's open to the public. It starts at 7 o'clock. It'll be probably about an hour.
Yeah, there are a lot of people showing interest because
Yeah.
they watched the show last week, and then he has such a wide, such a varied interest. And we talked a lot about on the show about temperature and stuff, but he talks about diet and exercise and how to change your lifestyle so that you don't just have not just live longer, but live better is what his themes
Yeah,
are.
and also if you're going to work out with intention, I think, and then maximum efficiency as opposed to just kind of,
so that you're
getting the results that you want.
Yeah, so you're not just going for hours a day and then saying, I don't understand why I'm not getting it.
As you're munching a donut, I don't understand
Yeah.
why I'm not losing weight.
And what else is coming
so
up?
Chicago is coming right up because we're almost done with February.
We
We're
are.
sailing into March, and at the end of March 28th through 30th, and then April 4th through 6th. So it's Thursday, Friday. The performances are at 7:30. And Saturday, there's two performances at 2 o'clock matinee and then 7:30 in the evening at the Bells Falls Opera House. It's going to be a fantastic show. They've been working diligently. I mean, they start work on this in January.
Yeah, I was paying my water bill the other day and snuck down and looked at the
Looked at the
scenery,
set.
and boy, it's really,
Yeah,
that's another one of those elaborate sets. It's like Sweeney Todd again. It's
Yep.
going to be great.
And then the costuming is
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
because I think it's set in is it the 40s? The Chicago set.
I
30s
think so
or
too.
40s,
It's
somewhere
third.
around
It's
there.
it's in the
It's that
jazz
era-
age. What's
yeah,
the jazz age?
That
Maybe
era where
20s.
men used to wear their pants up to here.
Yeah,
I think it's that
yeah.
era.
I
Maybe
still do
some-
sometimes. Even with that, it's the whole waist thing, you know. It's like-
Always. So next week we actually have David Stern coming on, and he'll
Oh,
talk
great.
a lot more about it. But if you want to get tickets, you can go to www.mainstreetarts.org. And again, I know I've said this every week, but I really would strongly suggest you get your tickets
Yeah.
and don't wait.
Like you said, it's March already. I mean, and day after tomorrow is March, which really is just, it's crept up on us, hasn't it?
It has. And what's our favorite thing about March?
Well, we're not going there yet. Are we
Oh,
going
we're
to
not?
town meeting? First, before we go to town
Before we go to
meeting,
town meeting, okay,
I want to
jumping
talk
the
about
gun.
Talk of the Town.
Oh, Talk of the Town.
Talk of the Town. Talk of the Town is a project that we're trying to get off the ground here at Fact TV. We're trying to do a show where we get local people to talk about local events and really sort of focus in on your town, on the idea that in not just Bellows Falls, but like Bellows Falls and Saxons River and Brookline and
Westminster,
Athens,
all of
West,
the
yeah. So
surrounding
that
towns.
if you're doing something and you want to talk about it, and it doesn't have, we want to do it like this is a wide-ranging show. Like one of the, I've written down a list is like, what about the best places to eat? If you've gone somewhere and said, wow, that's really good. Yesterday I was at the Flatiron and they had scones, and we were talking about scones and the whole idea of how you make scones and stuff, and that turned into a real, well, that's something that you could bring to this Talk of the Town. Like, oh,
Because I think it's important, like, because people might think, is it going to be a half-hour show on scones?
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
no.
a 2 to 3 minute clip. So if you
Yeah.
have something, it's kind of like man on the street interviews,
Yeah,
kind of that
yeah.
kind of idea. But if you have something you want to talk about, you want to say that, oh my gosh, I went into Flatiron and they now have scones there, or they've rearranged, or
Yeah, they did. That's
something.
the other thing is they.
Or you went
were-
to the art show that they recently
Yeah.
had an artist, or
The other thing that came up this weekend is Sue went to a orchid. An orchid show, and she happened to post it on Facebook. It's surprising the number of people that do orchids in Bellows Falls. That would be something you could talk about. You talk about, hey, we're doing orchids. My orchids are blooming, and here's a picture of it. And who else is doing orchids? So that's sort of where we're going with this thing. So the idea would be that there would be levels. Like you could either like phone in and say, hey, they have great scones at the Flatiron, or the level up would be you take your phone and you take a picture of the scone and you send that to us and say, hey, they have great scones at the Flatiron.
Or
level up again, you take a picture of yourself eating your scone.
or video.
A
and
video,
talk
yes,
little
a
bit.
video, excuse me. And so use your phone, create a video, and then send it into fact8.com. So we're looking for people in every community, and we're looking for people young and old. So I've talked to a few people who are interested in doing it, but this is one of those projects that it would really be good if we had a lot of people doing it, and people felt free to just send things in, almost like posting on Facebook, but sending it here, and then we'll put it on TV.
The idea is again, Fact TV is really leveling up the idea that it's your community news source.
Yeah.
We don't have a local newspaper, really, that really focuses on just the area, or even within the newspaper, there's so many advertisements that you miss the articles
Yeah,
and things like that.
right.
So it's kind of the idea that creating the talk of the town, so that Fact TV is a source for where you can find information, and where if you're trying to get information out, you can easily do it. So it doesn't have to be complicated like a formal PSA. If you just want to come in for 2 minutes and talk about if you have a 5K coming up, if you have a bake sale, or I think Girl Scout cookies are coming out soon.
Yeah, oh yeah, all
things
those
like
things.
that.
It's
So that-
everything, yeah.
So that we have one concentrated show or one concentrated place to find out about local events.
Right,
I mean,
and
we
it
do
can
it a
be,
little bit, but
it can be like a potpourri of local events.
potpourri of
A
local
potpourri,
events.
because I'm also thinking we
now
can
Mike's
talk
getting
about.
very creative.
Well, because other people have issues like, well, what about the sidewalks? How come I don't know how many times I heard last week when we had that rain and then ice, everybody was like, wow, about the sidewalks. But, they could talk about that. You could say, hey, this is something we need to work on, or a fire truck, which is coming up. We'll talk about this in a little bit. And people just have different issues they'd like to talk about. This could be a forum for doing that.
And we're actually doing a couple of different ways too. With certain people, we would come and film, correct?
Yeah.
Like if the town manager was interested in doing a little blurb or some about, or the town fathers about things they're working on, to kind of get the word out and to keep. I think it's more to keep people accurately informed, because there's a lot of misinformation that goes through the rumor
yeah.
vine. But this is a chance to get the accurate information.
We're
out.
trying to get the facts behind the rumors.
Facts behind the rumors.
Yeah.
Just the facts.
And then one of the things that Alex has promised to work on would be, I like to put things on Alex, is that people would, if you have a phone and you don't feel comfortable filming, that he would actually give you some tips. And maybe we might do a little PSA on that, or a video clip on how to do things with your phone, or you could just call in and we'd help you out to do that. So that's something else to think about. So we're coming up on, like what you were saying, March is
town meeting.
just
month.
around, and March is town meeting month, and it's just amazing to me, because I guess I was in February mode until just yesterday, and it finally dawned on me that we only have a couple days left, and
Yeah, we're in March.
and we're in March, and we're in town meetings.
And then the town meeting is literally Monday night. I mean,
Well-
that's how soon we're sliding into town meeting. It's
We
Monday
are.
Night, March
It's
4th
Monday
to
night, but
7th.
even before that, if we look at the town meetings around Saturday, On the
Westminster.
2nd is Westminster. They're doing their town meeting at, where are they doing it? At the Bellows Falls High School, and it's going to be their town meeting and floor vote is going to be Saturday morning at 10 p.m., 10 a.m., excuse me. So, and then if we look at, and then they're going to vote on Tuesday at the Westminster Institute. But Town of Rockingham is doing a meeting Monday night at the Bellows Falls Opera House at 7, with a vote on March 5th at the Masonic Temple. And then Grafton is doing Tuesday, March 5th at the Grafton Elementary School, starting at 10. It says 10 p.m., but it has to be 10 a.m. And they're gonna,
They do it overnight.
yeah, it's gonna be one of those, yeah, overnight. But at 10 a.m., they'll do their vote and meeting all together at the Grafton Elementary School. And then the town of Athens is meeting at the Athens School Tuesday, March 5th at 10 a.m. And they're doing the same thing. They'll
They
be
do
voting
everything that
during.
day.
Yeah, so it's like, that's like the old,
They
the
keep
old
the
tradition,
traditional
yes.
town
It's
meeting
like
day.
everybody gets together and they vote.
I think the thing, and what some people don't realize, and it's different per town, is that in a lot of the towns, the actual budget is voted on at the town meeting.
Yeah,
And Bellows Falls is one of them, or Rockingham is one of them. And it fascinates me that every year, because we run the microphones,
yeah.
every year we're there, and we're looking at voting on a $6 million budget.
Million.
Not billion.
Yeah.
Dollar budget. And it's passed, because it's not voted on by Australian ballot. It's
No,
still
it's passed by,
it's
everybody
still
just
old
says
school.
voice vote.
yay or nay, voice vote. Sometimes it might go to the card vote, but it's the people that are in that room. So if you have want to have a say in the budget and want to, you got to show up.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's,
that theater should be packed with people, and
And-
it's just not.
yeah, more than anything else, you have to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can watch it on TV, but you can't vote
You
if you're
can't vote
watching
if
on
you're watching on
TV.
TV unless you can get down and find a parking space very quickly. I have done that in the past.
But it's difficult to do.
It's difficult to do.
Very difficult to follow what's going on if you're not there. And last year, I think it was a similar thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
probably a $5 million, $6 million budget with 50 people.
Yeah.
Were that even that many people? I'm not sure.
I think that last year it was because there wasn't a lot of there were not a lot of articles. There was not a lot of controversial type things. This year there's this might turn people off, but there's 28 articles this year, most of which are service agencies. Every 5 years they break out the service agencies. Normally the service agencies are lumped
One lump,
into
yeah.
one lump sum line item,
Yeah.
with over the total. And then I think it's every 5 years, maybe it's less. Every service agency that requests money from the town has to have their own separate article. So that's why there's so many.
Mm-hmm. Which is an
articles.
important thing. I mean, because people complain about their taxes all the time, and my taxes are too high. This is the chance to come out and say, well, this is where your tax money goes. Do you want to spend this amount of money here or this amount of money there? And some of the things this year are going to be tough because they had already introduced a $550,000 article to buy 2 fire trucks.
Piece of fire apparatus.
Two fire apparatus, which, as I understand it, the Bellows Falls Fire Department had already written a grant, and they were getting $400,000.
for
So,
this.
so that would mean it would only be like $150,000, which is not, not that that's a small number, but that a big chunk of it was going to be taken care of by this grant. But then this last week, they found one of the Rockingham tanker trucks is, I don't know how to say it. They took it off the road because they took it out of service because it was rusted out.
Oh, that's right.
They found rust on the frame that made it dangerous, and so now they're saying they're going to need another fire truck in addition to the 2.
So that's not even
That's
on
not
the
even
ballot.
included in that, and that's probably a $500,000 expense that I'm not sure how they're going to fold that
They might
into.
bring that up in other business.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you can't spend money in other business. I didn't.
All right, you can just vote.
Yeah, you can vote
'cause
on
it's gonna be warned.
concepts.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be warned.
yeah.
They might warn it a special meeting. I think.
Yeah, I think they might
would
have to.
do a special
So,
meeting.
but they're figuring these things out. It's important for you to to show up because, you know, if you think about 50 people voting on $600,000, you're talking about your vote is worth $120,000 or something like that.
That's the thing. And so many people complain after the fact, but they weren't there, so.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the service agencies, a lot of times people ask, you know, what do these agencies do? Well, if you read the town report, each one of the agencies has to put a report in, so it kind of tells you what they do. So it is helpful to kind of pre-prepare. A lot of
Yeah,
people do. A lot
good
of people
point. Good point.
bring their catalog with them, and kind of have looked through, and
A
it's
lot of
nice.
people go through it penny by penny.
A lot of people do
some
go through it penny by
people are
penny,
like,
but I kinda
did you
go
see
through it
on line
generally."
24, page 13, paragraph C, you know, item 12?
Yeah.
That, I think that's 25 cents should be 45 cents.
I don't have that kind of time.
No,
but-
neither do I, but
But it is important to kind of do your due diligence. It's the nature of small towns. It's the nature of. I think that there's a general feeling that people think they don't have a say. You do. You have a say. You might not get the vote that you want, but at least you can feel good at the end of the night that you showed up and you voted.
yeah, and you said what you said your piece.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets to say their piece. Whether and if you don't feel comfortable saying your piece, you can sit there and listen to other people say
Mm-hmm.
their piece. But probably someone's going to say what you know. There's probably going to be some sort of at least version of every side of the coin,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and which is a good thing. It's great. And maybe if you're there and somebody says something that you agree with, you can support them and say, yeah, you know, I really agree with that, and maybe vote on their side as opposed to not being there and just complaining about it later.
It's literally democracy in action.
It is,
The way
really
that it was,
is.
the
I
way that it was
mean-
meant to be put before the voters of the town. People could talk about it, discuss it. Robert's Rule of Orders keeps everything in line.
Right.
Ray's going to be moderating this year.
Yep.
We should also talk about the folks that are running. 'cause
Oh,
there's
yeah, that's a
three-
good point.
There's 3 select board positions that are coming due. So Doreen Aldrich, Stefan Golick, and Peter Golick are all due. I know that Doreen is not running again, so there'll be 3 seats available. Stefan and Peter are running, and then there's a couple of
Right,
write-in
they,
votes. Andy Bernardo and I believe Ben Mashore.
Yeah, in the paper, today's Brattleboro Reformer, they had an article with interviewing Ann, and she's saying that she wants to run again and she'd like to be a write-in, and she also like does a shout out to Ben and says, you know, the way this is set up, if they can write in both people and they can both. It's
So
not
you
like they
vote for a
definitely
minimum
have
of
to.
2.
They're not necessarily competing against each other, but they can. If people go out and vote for both, they both can win.
And I think that's another good point, is that to show up to the meeting and vote for the budget, but then show up the next day and actually vote, because that's when you vote. The school board budget has gone to Australian ballot. So the school board meeting, they'll just talk about the budget, but you're not gonna vote on it. But you will vote on the school board the next day, and you will vote on the folks that are gonna be making your budget the next year. So, and it's just a good chance to, like, again, feel like you have a say in the community, and feel like, which you do. You have a say,
That's
but
true.
you have to do your voter due diligence. You have to show up, and you know, it's hard. It's Monday night. It's at 7:00. You're tired. You gotta go to work the next day. 28 articles.
You've been up since 6 o'clock.
Since
You've been
6
up
o'clock.
at work since 6 o'clock in the morning.
So
and
sometimes
there you
it's
have
a
it.
challenge, but it's part of, again, I would guess it would be due diligence.
Right, and I guess as we talk about this on the other side of the coin, or a different side of what this issue is, people running for office. They didn't fill the ballot this year. There weren't enough people.
Oh, I know.
There weren't enough people interested in running to fill the ballot. So now that's why we have write-ins, and people will complain and say, "Oh, so and so shouldn't be on the board because they've been on the board forever," and blah 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 and blah blah blah. But those people don't run. Those people don't step up and say, "Oh, so and so shouldn't be on the board, so I'm going to run."
Yeah.
No, you don't hear that. You hear,
Yeah.
they just the downside of that. And I would hope that people might think of that too. It's like, if you have something to say, maybe you could run, because it seems like.
Or if you want to really see what the process is like, if you're kind of always complaining about it, then instead of complaining, why don't you do something?
Right, exactly.
Become civically involved. Because I truly believe that everyone that's on the board does the best to the best of their ability.
They
It's
definitely
not
do.
easy.
And it's a big commitment.
It's a huge commitment.
I mean,
It's not just
even just showing up to the meetings,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big commitment. But you have to be prepared. You have to read all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do things. You have to listen to people who are coming in saying that you're doing everything wrong.
exactly during that little public comment
Yes.
section of the meeting.
So yeah, so it's not an easy thing to do, and I guess we should commend the people that go out and do it every day. But
And most of the terms are 1-year terms. I think there's a couple of seats that are longer. I think there's some 2 and 3 year seats, isn't there?
yeah, there's a 3-year. There's
3-year?
a couple, maybe 1 or 2.
But I think
3-year.
right now just the 1-year seats
Yeah.
are.
No, I thought
available.
the 3. That's what Peter and Stefan are running for.
Oh,
is
to
the
2 and
3-year.
3. Yeah, I'm not. I just know that this just says when their term expires. It doesn't say what
Yeah,
term they
yeah.
had. So, but there is, I believe, at least one year seat available. So you
Right.
could, you could commit for a year. Sometimes it takes more than a year though to really get the process.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that, but at a minimum, if you committed for a year, and again, it's our community,
Yeah.
and the only way it's going to get better is if we all work together
Yeah.
and get lots of different voices heard. And if you have some ideas, then come and show up.
Yeah.
Show up. Don't just
That's right.
Bitch about it. Oops. Complain about it afterwards.
It's so much easier though to complain.
It is
isn't
much easier to complain.
All right.
Way easier.
So, I think that about brings us to the. Does that bring us to the end of our
End
feed?
of our rant on the town meeting. I
Yes.
just want to remind everybody,
Well,
it's Monday, the 4th, at the Opera House, starting at 7 o'clock. These reports are available in all over town, right?
Yes.
Yes, they used
Right
to-
now, it's hard to. Because they were at the health center. That's where I picked up these.
I'm
But
guessing
I
the
think
town
I got
hall
the
probably
last
has a
one.
big stack.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure
you go
they
to the
do.
town hall, the lobby of the town hall, you don't even have to go
Yeah.
upstairs. I believe usually in the lobby of the town hall. They'll certainly have them out the night of the meeting, they'll have a bunch of them out. But it's really, I think it's helpful to have looked through it ahead of time, do a little due diligence. If you're curious, I was looking at one of the service agencies, I didn't know what they did, so I just flipped back to their report to see what they did. So you can kind of be in the know as you're going through those, what did we figure out? It's 15 articles.
15
from
articles
service
about
agencies.
each about the service agency.
Which
yeah.
usually go fairly quickly. Every once in a while, somebody will quibble over like $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
We just passed a $6 million budget, but we'll quibble over $1,500.
That's I always like.
That's what I love.
That's my
It's like
favorite
that,
part.
Yeah, it's like
like-
that's democracy in action right there.
So, and another, I guess I'll throw a challenge out to people is, how would you increase participation in the town meeting? What could be done to make it more attractive? Not that it should be attractive. People should do it because it's their sort of civic duty.
I
But
think that's been tossed around a little bit. I think they've talked about trying to go to the daytime meeting.
Yeah.
Like I think the like Westminster and some of the towns that do the day-long meeting get more turnout because they kind of make it an event. They have
Yeah,
food and
yeah.
they have, so I think that's been tossed around, but I don't know because there's always you're never going to find the perfect solution.
yeah, I know
But-
it's terrible. I was saying we should put envelopes on the bottom of the seats.
Oh,
and
for
they would
winners?
have prizes. And it could be like the Oprah show or something.
There you go.
You're sitting in seat B14, you get, a car.
Nice. I'm sure that we could figure that out.
I'm sure that would
Maybe you
work.
get a movie ticket.
Ooh, a movie
Even
ticket.
better.
I was
That's
thinking
bigger than a car.
recycling coupons would be good
Recycling
too.
coupons are good. Take it
All
to
right.
the movie theater. So next week, please join us because David Stern is going to be on talking about Chicago. And please, 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 even if you can't make the town meeting, at least get out the next day to vote.
Yep. So that's it for us, Bellows Falls. See you next week on the feed.
That's it, folks, for the feed. Be sure to catch us every Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. Also, find us on Facebook at Fact TV or tell us what you think. thefeed8@gmail.com. And don't forget to watch the feed online at www.fact8.com.